The Tucson is Hyundai's compact crossover. It slots just below the Santa Fe and just above the Kona. Now, Hyundai has a ton of crossover SUVs in their lineup these days, ranging from small to large, with hybrids, with plug-in hybrids, with the all-electric, with fuel cell. This one is a plug-in hybrid Tucson. Let's dive into it. And before we move on, the past couple of days here in North Texas has been really crazy rainy and has gotten super cold today for one of the first times of the year. So bear with me if the skies open back up and it's raining or we don't have a completely clean vehicle. We're making it work. All right, and like I said, there are different variants of the Tucson. You have the regular gas, or what they're calling the ICE vehicle. You have a hybrid vehicle and you have a plug-in hybrid vehicle, which is what we have here. The plug-in only has two trim options, and those consist of the higher end trims, the SEL and the Limited, with your base SEL just over $38,000, and this one, the Limited, just around $45,000. And again, that's what we have here. We have the Limited plug-in hybrid Tucson. Let's get into the exterior design. So first thing of note, the exterior color here is deep sea blue. And all of the exterior colors for the plug-in hybrid, at least, are some shade of gray, except for this blue. But they all have a grayish shade or are pretty dark, which I thought was a little bit interesting just looking at the color chart of the vehicle. You have that stylized grille, and because we have the Limited, it is the dark chrome grille, and you do have some dark chrome accents throughout the exterior. We have those premium LED headlamps and fog lamps. And this is something that first strikes you about this vehicle. Very unique. Of course, they've carried that look over into their Santa Cruz truck, which is based on this same Tucson platform. But it's a unique style, looks really good, and definitely makes this thing stand out from the crowd. Around the side, we have 19-inch alloy wheels here. Up top, we do have the panoramic sunroof and some roof rails. You can see along the side, you definitely have some really striking angles. This is something that Hyundai does really well. I've heard some say it's over stylized and some that really like it. But if you look at Hyundai's lineup from the Kona to the Sonata and Elantra, all of them have really unique, crisp lines on the side. You also have this chrome strip that extends from the side mirrors all the way over the cabin to the back with this extra little fin looking design. You got a bit of a rear spoiler over the hatch, full LED taillights that again are very unique, very stylized. You've got that Hyundai badge that's actually up in the glass of the back, which is a unique placement. And then of course you got that Tucson badge on the driver's side and the H-Track plug-in hybrid badge here on the passenger side. And no visible exhaust port, although of course there is an exhaust sticking out if you look low enough. And we'll come back to the rear end here and check out the hatch and the cargo volume. But first, let's talk about the full dimensions of the Tucson. All right, as mentioned, this is a compact crossover. Your full length here is 182.3 inches. Wheelbase is 108.5 inches. Your width is 73.4 inches and height is 66.3 inches. And again, it's definitely a good design that really sticks out from the crowd, especially with its lighting designs and really bold side creases and lines that they put in this thing. But with that, let's go ahead and pop the hatch and check out the cargo volume you have in the back. All right, and you do have a power lift gate. It's also a hands-free lift gate. As you walk to the back, it'll automatically pop. But taking a look inside, your cargo volume is 31.9 cubic feet behind that second row of seating. Of course, it is only a 2-row SUV. It's not a 3-row. You got to jump up to the Santa Fe to get the 3-row. But that is a ton of cargo space back here, which is another thing that Hyundai is great about, is making their interior cargo volume the best it can be. You do have a little tray here that lifts up. We've got our charger hidden away back here, your tire kit, but no spare tire. and no spare tire underneath. Those rear seats are a 60-40 split. You can fold them down, and you're looking at 66.3 cubic feet of full cargo volume. Again, a really great number for a compact crossover. We'll check out more of the interior, including the back seats, but first let's go ahead and pop the hood and check out the engine that powers this. All right, so both plug-in hybrid vehicles have the same setup here, same horsepower values, same torque values, everything like that. The difference comes on the interior and other materials in the vehicle. But you're looking at a 1.6 liter turbocharged engine, and this is Hyundai's hybrid tech engine. Of course, matched up to an electric engine and a battery system. The battery has a 13.8 kilowatt hour capacity and 88 kilowatts output, and should charge to full in under 2 hours on a normal 240 volt charger. So combined, you're looking at 261 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and that's all matched up with Hyundai's 6-speed automatic Shiftronic transmission. Of course, we do have Hyundai's all-wheel drive system here, the H-Track system, as you saw on the badge in the back, and that comes standard on all of the plug-in hybrid systems. So again, you're not getting any difference on the trims, and you can get up to 2,000 pounds of towing with a trailer with brakes, which is pretty decent for the full setup. And I'll definitely touch more on what I think about the power from this thing, what I think about the full hybrid system and plug-in hybrid system, and even some of the H-Track stuff as we get to drive it. But first, let's go ahead and check out the interior, starting with the rear seats. All right, we're here in the rear seats of the Tucson, and again, Hyundai does a really great job of interior volume, making it not feel as tight of a vehicle as the segment would portray. I'm 6'1", bigger guy. I fit back here no problem, just fine. Plenty of knee room, plenty of foot room. And again, this is the seating position that my wife was in the whole time. Basically as far back as my position here as the driver. Headroom is a little bit tight, but not terrible. Again, we got the big panoramic sunroof. You do have a pull-down armrest here with cup holders. With it being an all-wheel drive vehicle, you do have a bit of a bump in the center seat, but it's not terrible. I did drive this with my kids 3 wide in the back, and my kids are getting bigger as well. So at first they were complaining that they were going to have to sit 3 wide, but during our quick trip to the movies and to a family birthday party, they didn't really complain about the space back here. And again, you've got plenty of space for your passengers back here and still a ton of space back behind you. We do also have our own AC and heat vents and 2 USB type A ports for charging your devices. Little nets here on the back of the seats. All in all, again, great place to be. All right, now to the interior in the front at the driver position. Let's check out all the interior bits and tech. Starting off with the seats here, we do have the black on black interior, and these are black leather trim seats with perforated leather, black stitching, and a little bit of chrome added in. Looks really good, super comfortable. They are heated and cooled seats, which is fantastic thanks to the limited trim. You also have black and chrome with a little bit of cloth material and black leather trim sprinkled in between, and then the chrome strip there. And there on the door, that is like a piano black. It does get fingerprints and smudges a lot. That would be my kind of biggest gripe about the interior. You can see along the dash from the passenger view, this chrome strip, and down in there it's got a nice little design and goes into the air vent and comes across right here as well. A lot of nice little design details here in the interior and a little pocket on the side. This is a push button start, so let's go ahead and push the start button and kick it on. You can see our 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment system with navigation. Of course, Hyundai has a really nice system here with lots of little bits and things that you can dive into. There's nothing really different about this, and it is probably a little bit older than some of the newest stuff that they have out, but it's a good system. You can also see the vents up here on top with your hazard light up there. Below that screen, you've got all your touch sensitive buttons here, again in this gloss black. So it does accumulate fingerprints, does reflect a lot. All your AC and heat controls right there as well. And again, these are just touch sensitive buttons. Coming down below that, before we brighten up the camera, you can get a hint of the ambient lighting that's in here. And the ambient lighting is here in the console, on the sides of the console, and in the door. Let me brighten up the camera so you can see what's back here in this cubby. We've got two USB Type A ports. Again, not the newest USB Type C stuff. It is a bit older. This is one of the vehicles that hasn't been updated now in a while for Hyundai. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have good stuff like wireless charging. So you've got a little pad here, you can throw your phone and wirelessly charge it. And we do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available with this infotainment system, but it does not have wireless Apple CarPlay. So although you do have a wireless charger, we do not have wireless CarPlay. You do have to have it plugged in, and it has to be in this specific spot here. And again, this gloss black is pretty shiny, but you can see our heated and cooled seat buttons here, heated steering wheel button. You've got a hill descent control button for the H-Track all-wheel drive, parking sensors, your cameras, which we'll show in just a second, and then again, your heated and cooled seats. So let's hit that camera button. So you can see we have the full 360 view as well as a backup camera here, and you can engage that anytime by pushing the button. Of course, if you're going too quickly, it'll turn itself off. You can change some of the views here. Another part of the H-Track system is your center diff lock, which is great. We have a EV HEV button here, which is your hybrid mode or your all EV mode. Of course, it has an automatic mode. You also have drive modes here from this toggle, and this is going to give you an eco, a sport, a smart, and a snow mode. And you can see it changes the instrument cluster, which we'll get back to in just a second. And then you have your shift by wire transmission buttons here. In some of the newer Hyundai vehicles, they are updating this. If you saw our 2024 Kona First Drive video, this has now been moved over here to the driver stock. When they update the Tucson, I definitely see them moving this as well and opening up this area. But again, you can hit the reverse and get your backup camera. You've got neutral, park, and drive back here. Your electronic parking brake with an auto hold button. Cup holders. Your center armrest is nice and padded. Feels decent enough. You've got a lot of storage down there. Plenty for the camera and some of the other gear that I've just had in the car. Moving on to the steering wheel, it is a nice leather wrap steering wheel, again heated. You do have steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, which we'll talk more about as we drive. And of course, the standard kind of controls on a steering wheel that you would get, and your standard stocks on either side. And then behind the steering wheel, again, that 10.25-inch fully LCD digital driver information display. And you can thumb through some of the extra displays here from the steering wheel, and you get a lot of decent information through this, including if you're an EV and hybrid. And like you saw, as we switch into different modes, it does change with some cool animation. Always good. Here to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, you do have more buttons for your lights, to pop your hatch, for your traction control, and then this is the button to pop your gas cap. It took me a while to find it. I was looking all over down at the bottom. Now the one for the charger does not need a button to pop. You just push it in and it pops out, but the gas does need one. We also do have a Bose premium audio system in here, and it sounds decent enough. Nothing to write home about, but decent enough to live with every day for sure. And of course, that panoramic sunroof, which is a panoramic sunroof. But with all the rain we've been having, Haven't really opened it much. And for the last party trick, I'm gonna have to jump back out to show you guys. But after we do that, we'll get this thing out on the road, take it for a drive, and talk about what we think about the driving of the Tucson plug-in hybrid. And the feature we need to talk about is called Remote Smart Parking Assist. Now, you've probably seen this in other Hyundai vehicles, definitely the Sonata. Pretty sure we had it on the Palisade that we reviewed not too long ago, but it is also on this Tucson. And that is where you can take the remote, go ahead and start it up remotely, which is nice. And because it's a hybrid or EV, you don't hear the gas engine start, but it is started. And then you can use the buttons here to better park it, pull it into a parking spot, pull it out of a parking spot. Of course, it has the sensors all around the car, so it will automatically stop if it thinks it's going to hit something. I always say this is a bit of a gimmick technology. I've never used it in real life situations. It's always just kind of a show off thing, but as show off things go, it's pretty cool. And it's starting to sprinkle a bit, so let's go ahead and jump back in and we'll take it for a drive. All right, let's get this thing going. The first thing that I want to talk to you about that really surprised me and almost everybody that I gave a ride to in this thing is just how smooth of a ride that it is. It is a very smooth riding vehicle. And of course, if you're in EV mode like we are now, it's a quiet riding, smooth vehicle, which is fantastic. The suspension on this thing is really good. It absorbs the bumps and the harshness of the road really nicely. It's definitely a really great driving everyday vehicle. Even when we had it packed with the family, had it 3 wide in the back with 2 of us up here in the front, I had no issues with it being more rough or sluggish, which isn't always the case for sure, and is definitely something I don't hear from a lot of other automotive reviewers whenever they review a vehicle. Definitely worth packing it full of people if you're going to have your family in your vehicle, because sometimes vehicles can drive very differently when they're packed full versus just you driving it. And again, luckily, this thing still handled fantastically. The torque and power out of the engine is really good as well. For the most part during the week, I've been driving this as just a hybrid vehicle. I haven't been plugging it in and charging it. I haven't tried to drive in any mode to save a charge, but I did plug it in this morning before the review, got it up to about half charge, and you immediately see the benefits. You can go up to 23 miles on EV only mode, which is a decent enough if you're going to use the EV only to drop the kids off to school or go around the neighborhood, go to the grocery store and back. But it also does have a pretty small gas tank, so your overall miles that you can go on a full charge and tank isn't that great. It's probably just over 300 miles. But if you're buying the plug-in hybrid as a vehicle with really good fuel economy, it will deliver, especially if you are diligent about plugging it in at night. Again, you can get a full charge with just under 2 hours of charging on a 240 volt. If you're using a regular house plug and not the 240, it's going to take more time, but that's definitely not unique to the Tucson. And if you're doing that, you should expect about 35 miles per gallon combined, which again is fantastic. We do have the different drive modes as you've seen. We can put it in the sport mode. We have the paddle shifters. And the sport mode lets that engine really rev up, but this doesn't feel like a sporty crossover. I wouldn't drive it like a sporty crossover. I never touched the paddle shifters the entire week until right now, just doing the review. I haven't put it into sport mode the entire week. So if you're buying this as a sporty crossover, it's not really that. Maybe one of the other variants of the Tucson are more sporty feeling, but I highly doubt it. And again, I haven't driven them. You also have the smart drive mode, which again is going to keep you in the best kind of situation for the best fuel economy. You have your snow mode, which kind of tells you what that H-Track all-wheel drive system is focused on. You don't have an off-road mode, you have a snow mode, which is going to keep you from slipping. It's going to use all the wheels and all the power that it has to keep you going straight. And then again, your normal drive mode is your eco mode, which is going to get the most out of your fuel economy. And I will say about the H-Track system, I've driven the Santa Fe, the Palisade, and even the Santa Cruz with the H-Track system, and I've done light off-roading with those, and it works fine. It's not the best system out there. They're not the most capable for climbing hills or doing much off-road. But most of this week that I've had this Tucson, it's been raining like crazy. We've had flash flooding. Took the family out in this thing in the middle of the storm and felt very safe. Had no issues with slipping. So again, that's kind of more what the all-wheel drive system is focused on, and it does a fantastic job with that. As a driver, you also have nice features like your blind spots monitor, which shows up in your gauge cluster as you put your turn signals on. You'll use your side mirror view camera to look there into your blind spot to see if anything is there. You still have the beeping and everything like that, but just another extra safety feature. That's nice. Sometimes it's annoying if you're turning and not trying to switch lanes and you've always got this coming up, but it's there for safety. It works fine. You also have your highway assist, your lane keeping assist, your radar guided cruise control, all things that I've talked about with Hyundai vehicles for a long time. Hyundai does these really well, and that's no different here in this Tucson. You can get it up on the highway, set your radar guided cruise control, set your lane keeping assist, keep your hands on the steering wheel, but definitely be less attentive and feel safer than you would otherwise. So again, the seats are super comfortable, heated, cooled seats. Steering position is super comfortable, heated steering wheel. Visibility is really good in this vehicle. You do have the surround view camera. Everything's easy to touch as a driver. You've got the steering wheel mounted controls, which makes everything easy. It looks good, drives good. I guess the question now is, how does it stack up with the competition at its price? And what are some of my final thoughts? Let's go back, find a place to park, and we'll start diving into some of the competition and then my final thoughts. Let's get into it. All right, moving on to the competition. Let's really quickly cover the price again. For the plug-in hybrid, the SLE base is $38,000, just over $38,000. The Limited is just over $45,000. Our MSRP in this one that we're sitting in right now with basically no options, we got carpeted floor mats, and then the destination charge was sitting at $46,105. And of course, there are quite a few players in the compact crossover market. I'm definitely going to miss some of them, but there aren't a ton that offer a plug-in hybrid version. So we'll start off with the easy one, the Kia Sportage, basically the cousin car to this one, the Tucson. And it does have a plug-in hybrid. It starts at $38,600. So essentially the same price as this. That one looks great as well. I really like the Sportage look. I did review a Sportage. You should go check that one out. You also have the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which is kind of one of the staples in the industry for compact crossovers in general, but also Toyota with their hybrid tech and plug-in hybrid tech. Really great. Base price in that one though is over $43,000. So you're looking at a base price closer to what this one is, the Limited. From Honda, you would be looking at the CR-V. They do have a hybrid option, but not a plug-in hybrid option. The CR-V for 2024 is all new, looks really good. Has a base price of $33,000. And it's hard to go wrong with a Honda. Again, especially with the all new styling and everything. Another really great compact crossover to look at in the market is the Nissan Rogue. That does not have a hybrid or plug-in hybrid variant. Nissan obviously does offer some EV crossovers, but the Rogue does not have a hybrid or plug-in hybrid option, but it is a good price for the segment. Ford now offers the Escape in a plug-in hybrid variant, which is really good. Its base price is just around $40,000. It looks good as well. I haven't driven it. I barely get to drive Ford vehicles, but I've heard decent things about it. And if you're a Ford guy, definitely probably worth checking out. And then if you look at Mazda, Mazda's been doing a lot, making a lot of new crossovers. They have got the new CX-50, CX-30, CX-90, but their tried and true CX-5 is what competes with this that we're sitting in now. That does not have a hybrid or plug-in hybrid variant, but they do have very fuel-efficient Skyactiv engines. The CX-90, on the other hand, does come in a plug-in hybrid version, so maybe in the future we'll get one of the other variants in a plug-in hybrid as well. Just something to look out for if you're really interested in Mazda and wanting a plug-in hybrid. And they, of course, also do have a full EV. But with all of that, the sprinkling in the rain is letting up a bit. Let's jump back out. I'll give you some of my final thoughts on the Tucson, and we'll leave it at that. All right, so it's definitely been an eventful day, and I've had a ton of fun with the Tucson. I've really liked the Tucson since it was announced, since it was showed off. And if you've been following the channel at all, you know that I'm kind of a Hyundai fanboy, and I really like the Santa Cruz as a truck. And just one of the things that maybe frustrates me with Hyundai is not being able to drive all their vehicles as soon as they come out. This one's been out for a while. Of course, not the plug-in hybrid system, but this is the first time I'm driving a Tucson. And again, really enjoyed it, really loved the comfort of it, the smoothness of the drive. It's just a great system. We got great fuel economy throughout the week, and it handled this rainy, crappy weather that we've had recently with no issues. Put the family in it, drove around, felt comfortable, felt safe, and we all fit just fine, at least the 5 of us. And when stacking it up to the competition that we talked about, I really do like Hyundai's effort here. I like what they did with the design to really make it kind of stand out from the crowd, because there are just a ton out there that look the same, that feel the same, and this one definitely stands out. So if you're interested in a Tucson and you're comparing it to other compact crossovers, I definitely recommend it. Of course, like we said, you could check out some of the other competition and see what fits you better, but I definitely like this one. And with that, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Let me know that you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Tucson, the plug-in hybrid, or anything else that we talked about during this review. If you're into automotive reviews, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We do a different review every week. You should also go check out txgarage.com, where we do a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage from a lot of great authors over there. Really worth checking out if you haven't already. But with that, that's all I got for this one, guys. Thanks for watching.